NBA players in 2025 do not want to win the MVP award just to prove to everybody that they're the best player in the league. Shit, they don't even care about the MVP trophy anymore. SGA used it as a centerpiece on his dining room table. But that's not to say that these players don't care about actually winning MVP anymore, because the real prize that you get after being selected for such a prestigious award is this patch on your jersey for opening night. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I talked to literally all the MVP candidates last year, and every single one of them said they don't care about anything besides having this patch on their jersey. Obviously, we know that SGA is going to be repping this patch on opening night, and at the time of watching this video, he probably already wore the damn thing. But who is going to get it next year? That is the big question, and in this video, I am going to go over the best and worst case scenario for every single MVP candidate. Yes, I'm going over actual candidates. I will not be mentioning Keon Ellis, DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook, or anybody on the Sacramento Kings roster. This is fully legit, okay? At the end of this video, I will be giving you guys my actual MVP votes, who I think is going to win the award, who I think is going to get second place, third place, and so forth. But let's just go ahead and hop right into it, starting off with the guy who you could argue deserved the award last year, Nikola Jokic. All right, his best case scenario, I think the thing that would make him win it no matter what is if the Nuggets are the first seed or even a top 2 seed, or just have a good record in the Western Conference. This is a somewhat common theme because as much as people don't want to admit it, standings and team record does play a huge role in your MVP case. And in a conference like the Western Conference, which is known for being impossible, so hard to go through and battle through, I think if Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets can kind of bring themselves out of, you know, the middle of the playoff standings. I know that they were tied last season for third, but honestly, I would argue that being tied for third place is worse than just being third. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think if the Nuggets actually find themselves separating themselves from other people and other teams and kind of showing that they are a top dog in the Western Conference, that can be huge for Nikola Jokic and his MVP case. Obviously, Jokic could not give a fuck about the award, the patch, the honor, anything. He does not care. But yeah, I think with Nikola Jokic, it's like he's expected to put up a certain amount of numbers. He is going to do MVP numbers no matter what. And so I feel like team record and just having an impact on his actual team and, you know, winning a championship, that is what will most likely put him in the running to win the award. As for his worst case scenario, obviously you have bad record or just being a mediocre team. But I am also a bit worried about how people will look at Jokic's stats, right? He averaged damn near a 30-point triple-double last season, and he still didn't win the award. Actually, I want to check that because I feel like he may have actually averaged it. He averaged 29.6 points a game, 10 assists, and 12 rebounds. This season, this last year, was damn near better than some of his actual MVP seasons where he won the fucking award. So part of me does look at it and go, okay, if Nikola Jokic does not average better stats than last year, which was his career high year, if he cannot average better numbers, will people try to compare it to last season and try to tear him down for that and say, oh, but last year he was averaging 29.6 points. Now he's only averaging 27. When in reality, the last 2-3 years that he's won MVP, he was averaging 27 points. It's going to be very interesting. And as much as we may not like having like media interest or media personalities talking about their opinion and how that influences the vote and, you know, all the things like that, it is a very big talking point and will always influence things. So I do hope that there isn't too much conversation comparing his stats from last year to this year. Moving on forward, once again, I'll give you guys my actual rankings at the end of the video. But for right now, let's talk about the guy who actually won the award over Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. His best case scenario is pretty obvious because he's literally coming off an MVP. But if he can go out there, win games, be available, and, you know, put up better numbers, better stats, I mean, I don't know what else he can really do. I think his best case scenario is pretty simple. It is going to be a little bit harder for him to win a back-to-back MVP, I feel like, compared to other guys like Jokic. But yeah, his best case scenario is pretty simple. Just have better stats and your team record be better and like you're good. Or be first in the Western Conference like you were last year and just be unstoppable like you were last year, and maybe you have a chance to win it again, right? I think the worst case scenario is where things get very interesting for SGA because there's really two things. One, voter fatigue. People might not like the free throws anymore. They might not like the idea of giving SGA back-to-back MVPs. As crazy as that sounds, there are other players who are also also insanely good and will most likely be rivaling him for the award. So voter fatigue and, you know, stuff like that can really come into play. But I also think, and maybe this is just me overthinking the entire thing, but the OKC Thunder were like somewhat a surprise team last year, right? I feel like if you actually watched basketball and you looked at the OKC Thunder and you didn't care about the age, you knew that they were going to be a good team. But so many people saw them as like this standout roster. They were so good. They exploded out of nowhere. And so there was a little bit more of an edge to give that vote to SGA because he was the guy who led this team to this crazy jump, this crazy leap. And so I do feel like, you know, along with the voter fatigue, some people might look at it as like, all right, well, the Thunder are supposed to be good. So SGA, yeah, he's playing great, but they're supposed to be a good team. And I feel like that can actually end up harming him, as crazy as that might sound. It is insane to me that while I was doing my research for this video, I just realized, or I guess I just saw again for the first time in a while, that Giannis hasn't won MVP since 2019-2020, which is just crazy to me. I think because he's always in the top 3, top 4 voting for the past couple of years, but also 2020 and 2019 was that far away. That shit felt like it was yesterday. That shit is crazy to me. But yes, I do want to talk about Giannis because I feel like we are about to see a new version of Giannis. We are about to see Giannis take over the team again like he did back when, you know, the Bucks were actual championship contenders. And I think now that the whole Damian Lillard project is over, he is actually looking at this Bucks team, right? And the only thing that he is thinking about is dominating. His best case scenario is just playing like fucking Giannis. Going out there, putting up the crazy numbers, stat padding like crazy, you know, scoring his points to or whatever. I think that him playing like Giannis is going to be the best case scenario. Obviously, in the Eastern Conference, it is going to be somewhat easier to have a better team record, or I guess, you know, be higher up on the standings. So I don't think it's going to be as much of an impact as it is on the Western Conference, because no matter what, the Bucks, if Giannis is playing like Giannis and is healthy and available, he is going to be like a good team. The Bucks are going to be a top team in the Eastern Conference. So definitely his best case scenario is going out there, playing like Giannis, dominating, averaging 30 points a night, doing some crazy shit. I think that that is his best case scenario. But the worst case scenario, this one is probably the worst out of anyone I'm going to be talking about. If Giannis is either not available, or even the team record is bad, if they're a play-in tournament, or if he shows any signs of being unhappy in Milwaukee, his MVP conversation, the rumors around him possibly winning MVP, will fade instantly. And out of nowhere, all of that conversation will immediately turn into Giannis wants a trade. All the MVP conversation out the window. It is now Giannis wants to leave Milwaukee. That is going to be the only conversation. They've been hammering it down on us all offseason, talking about how Giannis wants to leave the team and all this kind of stuff. It is already a major talking point. It's something that they're trying to push on us. And so Giannis needs to be so locked in. He needs to prove so many people wrong that for him to win MVP, he cannot do anything wrong. Like, he has to do everything right. There is no way, because if he fucks up even once, if he shows any sign of being upset with the team, the conversations are over. It's done. Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking, all right, you know, he's talked about the 3 main guys, the guys who have, you know, won MVP recently or always in MVP conversations. So you might be expecting, you know, who I'm going to talk about next, or you might not, because the guy I want to talk about is Victor Wembanyama. It is clear Wembanyama could have done anything last year and he would not have won MVP, right? A year 2 guy winning MVP, very unlikely, probably not going to happen, okay? I think a lot of people are still skeptical on Wemby. He was also injured, by the way. But some people were still skeptical and didn't, you know, think he was good enough, or he's too injury prone, whatever the hell. Any of the conversations that there are around a young player. But year 3, that one is different. The best case scenario that I have for the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama is Wemby, I guess, just leading this team to be a high-tier play-in or a playoff seed. The entire conversation surrounding this Spurs team is that they are going to be good, but not good enough to really have like a postseason run or even make it to the playoffs maybe. I, for one, disagree. I think the Spurs are going to be a great team and can actually dominate a lot of the Western Conference. So if Wembanyama is fully healthy and can bring his team to exceed those expectations, blow people's minds away, that is going to be huge. But also, something that I think is very important is his stats. he needs to have an MVP leap in numbers. I know that sounds obvious because we're talking about becoming one of the best players in the league, but I think Wembanyama has a way better chance at this because he doesn't even really need to have like 32 points per game or average a shit ton of assists and average a triple-double like Nikola Jokic, because what Wembanyama has that nobody else has is the fucking block numbers. 2 years in the league. Guess what? Both years, he led the league in blocking. It is that easy. He's already going to win DPOY. We know it already. You can etch his name in that fucking trophy right now. So I think that the numbers that he may be lacking in the assist department, or maybe doesn't score enough points, it will be made up for with the defense, because that's still obviously a huge part of being a fucking MVP, is being good on both sides of the floor. So yes, Wembanyama, I think his best case scenario is what we kind of expect, which is have a good leap in numbers, put up MVP caliber numbers, and then blow everybody's expectations away by being a good team. And honestly, I think that's very possible. I think that can actually happen. Now, those were the main guys that I kind of wanted to talk about because in my mind, those are like the main MVP candidates. But there are some other guys that I, of course, have to go over because they are still some of the best players in the league. Starting off with Joel Embiid, coming back off of the horrible injuries and not really being too good to win MVP 1 year after that. I don't think it's possible. I think people will still be skeptical about him. They will want to see more of him. Maybe next year, if he's fully healthy, that's cool. I also think that Joel Embiid isn't really going to be putting too much effort into the regular season. He just wants to win games. He doesn't care about putting up the individual numbers because he's going to wait until the postseason to do all that shit. So Joel Embiid, yes, he's one of the best players in the league. He's won MVP before, but I don't think this year will be his year. You obviously have Luka Doncic. Luka is a very interesting situation because the team is his. My big issue with that is, one, I don't think the Lakers are good enough to be a top seed in the Western Conference or, you know, separate themselves like the Denver Nuggets might do. And at the same time, there's this weird thing with Luka Doncic where he has averaged good numbers. He has been such a good player ever since he came into the league, so young, that it's almost like, what can he do to where his numbers would blow us away? What can be so crazy that his numbers shock us and make us think, yep, he is by far the best player in the league? That's why I think regular season standings impact Luka the most, because shit, bro, this guy averaged 34 points a game, 9.8 assists, and 9.2 rebounds in a season, and got third in MVP voting. He got 4 votes. But obviously, there's other factors. So Luka Doncic being in LA, I think, is a huge plus for him. That's a huge opportunity for him because the LA market is obviously a lot better than Dallas. But I do think it's going to take some time. I don't think he's going to win it so quickly. If he does, I am convinced it is Adam Silver trying to plot the craziest timeline where we have a rivalry between the Mavericks and Lakers. Or maybe he just really wants to make Nico Harrison look even dumber than he already is. I think a lot of these guys that they have, like Anthony Edwards, it's also standings. Like, and even then, even if it is standings and they are the #1 seed, Anthony Edwards isn't doing this all by himself. His numbers are being spread out amongst the team because everybody else is also doing their huge roles as well. Kind of the same thing that I had with Donovan Mitchell, where some people were saying the Cavaliers are one of the best teams in the league. How is Donovan Mitchell not getting MVP credit? Well, yeah, he's the leader of the team, but the rest of the team is so fucking good, and the style of basketball that they play is so team-oriented that he's not getting the MVP numbers. The team is winning, which is great, but he's not going to get the MVP numbers. That's just known. So I know I didn't go through all like the best and worst scenario for those guys in the little quick fire session, but I do want to give my official MVP voting, everybody, okay? Here is my ballot. If you wanted to ask me right now on October 21st, opening night of the NBA, my first place, the guy who I think will actually win MVP, Victor Wembanyama. I want him to win it so fucking bad, man. I think it can happen. I really do. In second place, I'm going to go SGA because I think the Thunder are still going to be a great team and SGA has no plans on slowing down. After him is going to be Jokic because I think Jokic is just fucking not even human at this point. After that is going to be Giannis, and then following that, you could put anybody else that I talked about on the list. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I read and respond to everybody. Even if you disagree with me, it's okay. And yeah, man, the NBA season is finally here. It's starting up. It may have already started by the time you're watching this video. So I will see you guys all in the next one. Later.